Hi, Jeremy the Tall Trainer here, and I wanted to clear up a little bit of dietary confusion. So we got paleo, vegan versus keto, and all of these have raving fanatics. All right, people who are jazzed up to the absolute extreme, and they're saying this is the only way to eat, and they're very convincing in their own ways. And so how do you reconcile that? You got three different things that there are people who are like rabid about. And so I'm going to see if I can cut through some of the confusion a little bit and help clarify, what some of these things are about. So let's look at paleo first. And so we've got the paleo pyramid here. The biggest thing you'll notice is on the base of the pyramid is lean meats and fish. And so they say eat, grass-produced meats, fish, organically caught. Then you've got the fruit and veggies are the next level. That's pretty good. And you got berries and nuts. It's all pretty good, healthy eating. I look at healthy oils as a recommendation there. They say don't eat. So over here you got the list of they do eat and don't eat. One of the biggest things is just don't eat grains. No beans. There's dairy-free. No extra sugars. And avoiding like potatoes. Some of the other starchy type things. They're trying to stay away from some of that. And so, it's not bad. And refined vegetable oils there. So you go, okay, that's a pretty, I don't know if it's semi-reasonable, option there. There's plenty of things you can eat there. Now let's look at vegan. And so here's the vegan pyramid. And so it's got tons of stuff on there. You can't even hardly see, what it has to say on there. But, you got vegetables and fruit are basically the cornerstone, the main part of that. And then you've got other animal-produced things. You even have some, pretend meats, that are in there as far as processed meats are in that pyramid a little bit. And so that is the vegan pyramid. Maybe more simply, it says eat plant-based. It says don't eat anything from animals. And so I guess I can kind of dig that. I get that. I understand where they're coming from on that. One of the things I find is, I'll hold off a second. Let's go to the next one here, and I'll explain that concept in a minute. Basic rules of keto. One thing should be said that these options I'm showing, people have very other versions of paleo, keto and vegan, and so this is kind of a general overview. There are some people who have divergent sects, almost like the Christian church. There's 100 different little branches. There's this and that and this and that and that other thing, and so there's a bunch of different branches of each one of these as well. But keto here, so you got the keto pyramid. Right here, and basically the base of the pyramid is healthy fats. So you're having a lot more fat in your diet, and so you're really becoming more of a fat burner instead of a sugar burner, and that's kind of the concept of that. I can dig that because I do have a fairly high fat diet. My diet does have a bit more fat than other people's diets there. And then meat is the next level. We get that. I love that stuff. And then we have non-starchy veggies are in there. And then it kind of goes into, just a couple of other things, some of the dairy, some nuts and seeds and stuff like that, and a couple berries in there. And so they kind of are focused on what to eat is more fat, protein, veggies, non-starchy veggies, dairy, nuts, those kind of things. Don't eat carbs, the grains, starchy vegetables, and not much fruit either. And so it's a little bit light on the fruit side of things, in order to keep those carbohydrates low. So the goal is very, very low carbohydrate, very high fat. In fact, if you don't do it strong enough, you actually don't hit the right level. They say you don't get to ketosis, and so which is true. It requires maybe more precision than some of the other ones. And so big disagreements here: eating meat, eating grains, and eating carbs. And so these are kind of some of the areas. So eating carbs in general is just the keto thing. None of them say don't eat any fat. So at least they were all in agreement on that. And so those are kind of the big disagreements, and really a lot of strength to that. So paleo, big on no grains. Vegan, really big on not eating meat. And keto is very big on not eating carbs. All right, and so the many agreements, I think where we disagree is boring, where we agree is a lot more interesting. And I think that's true in every area of life, is let's find where we agree, and that's where you find really true insight. And so here's some of the agreements, that we have. We have, organic vegetables are a large portion of the diet. We've got avoiding processed food. I can dig that. That's good. They all through at their healthiest form avoid processed food. when they're not done in the healthiest form is that there are people that are having, these probably on the processed meats. There are people that are having paleo breads. There are people, so there are many vegans, which is a strict vegetarian, that don't eat very many vegetables. They're having mostly grains, carbs, those kind of things. And so I think at their healthiest, we're avoiding processed foods. We're eating food as close to nature as possible. And, nuts and some fruit is good. I think all of them kind of agreed. Light on the berries there and some nuts. That passed the test for all of them. All right. And so I think 100% perfection is bad. That's one thing that really holds me back from recommending keto to anyone. We work with a lot of emotional eaters, and if you say you've got to be perfect on this, usually there's a huge backlash. They can be perfect for only a period of time, and then they completely explode, and they erupt, and they gain the weight back, and they're in this condemnation spiral. And so I don't like recommending that level of extreme. And so if you're choosing a diet for weight loss, I think either of them, could work. Any of them, could be a good option. But just make sure you're not trying to go too crazy on any of them. So I recommend kind of like 80-20 or 90-10. Sometimes the only time it doesn't have a backlash is if you have a really strong desire to do it. And sometimes you can, if that's a sustainable desire, not just I want to lose weight because once the weight's off, do you keep going? It has to have a more purpose behind it. And then you might be able to stick with a plan like that. So what I think you should do, I think it's a little more simple. I think it doesn't have to be that complicated. Our philosophy here at Tall Trainer is move the way God designs to move, eat the way God designs to eat, and strive for being better, not for perfection. All right, and so in the spirit of striving to be better, most of us know some things we can do right now to be a little bit better. I think some of the things we could target as goals is to eat mostly vegetables. So eat tons of vegetables. I love the phrase plant-based, but I think a lot of times people say plant-based when they really mean plant-only eating, and I still think plant-based. I think you can have some animal. I think that it is possible. And that's why there's so much controversy, so much fighting, is because maybe it's not black and white. Maybe you can have a little bit, but maybe it's done too often, too much. And so eat mostly vegetables, because most people don't eat enough vegetables. Even vegetarians don't. All right. Eat some meat and fruit. Good deal. Eat light on the grains and the nuts. I think that's some of those fats and things like that. You want to go too crazy on, and light on the grains. I think the carbs, the processed, all that stuff is way too high. So if we drop out some of that processed food, which I think most of those diets, when they're done healthy, drop out the processed foods. And so I think it's a good deal. So that is what I think about those, and I hope it clarifies some things for you. You don't have to be perfect on these things. Just pick a couple habits. You can think of a couple right now that if you did them, you cut out a few processed foods, ate a couple more foods closer to nature, more natural, more how they came to us, and certainly more vegetables. If you did some of those things, you would notice a great improvement in your health. So instead of being perfect, let's strive for being just a little bit better today. This is Jeremy the Tall Trainer saying have fun, be safe.